Welcome to Haunted Midnight Stories. Here are 3 true creepy Tinder stories. Before we get started, I have a new channel, and subscribing really helps me to create new content. Thank you. It all started when I matched with Tyler on Tinder last month. His profile really caught my eye. He was very attractive with wavy brown hair, striking green eyes, and a chiseled jawline. His bio was witty, and he seemed charming in our initial messages back and forth. I don't usually go for guys just because of their looks, but there was an undeniable magnetism about him that drew me in. After chatting for a few days, I felt like we really hit it off. Tyler asked thoughtful questions about my job, family, and hobbies. He seemed genuinely interested in getting to know the real me. In turn, he told me details about his own life. He said he was from a small town a few hours away that I had never heard of, but moved to the city for college and work. His career was in marketing at a tech firm downtown. Everything he told me about himself seemed perfectly normal and added up at the time. When Tyler suggested meeting up for coffee that weekend, I readily agreed. I spent way too much time getting ready before the date, carefully choosing my outfit and makeup. There was just something about him that made me feel both excited and nervous. I arrived at the coffee shop early and waited at a table, checking my watch anxiously as the minutes ticked by. 15 minutes after we were supposed to meet, there was still no sign of Tyler. I messaged him asking if he was running late but didn't hear back. After waiting almost half an hour, it was clear I had been stood up. I felt ashamed walking out of there alone. Things had been going so well, why would he just not show up without any explanation? When I didn't hear from Tyler at all the rest of the day, I started to get an unsettled feeling in the pit of my stomach. Something seemed off. Out of curiosity, I decided to Google his name along with the small town he claimed to be from. But I couldn't find any trace of Tyler or his family actually living there. The first tendrils of doubt entered my mind at that point. If he wasn't really from where he said, what else might he have lied about? I slowly started digging deeper online, trying to learn anything I could about who this person actually was. The social media accounts connected to his Tinder profile were virtually empty, just making the mystery around him grow. On a whim, I did a reverse image search on the hiking photo he had sent me. My heart sank when I realized it was a stock photo used on multiple travel blogs and sites. Tyler had sent me a fake picture, pretending it was really him. My mind was spinning with confusion tinged with fear. Why would he construct such an elaborate fake identity? Was anything he told me true? Unsure if I was overreacting but unable to shake the ominous feeling, I kept searching. And that's when I made the most chilling discovery of all. The smiling photo of Tyler at a barbecue that he said was taken last summer. It was an exact match to a missing person case from 5 years ago in a different state. Every detail lined up, from the clothes the man wore to the backyard setting behind him. Tyler had sent me a photo of someone who had vanished without a trace years prior. I sat staring at my phone, my hands shaking. Whoever I had been talking to was not at all who they claimed to be. An imposter had lured me in, gaining my trust and personal information under false pretenses. But why? I racked my brain thinking about everything Tyler and I had discussed. Had I inadvertently shared anything that could put my safety at risk? Feeling violated and afraid, I immediately blocked his account. In a state of panic, I told my friends what had happened and warned them to steer clear of this fake profile. I filed a report with the police and gave them all the evidence I had found, hoping they could somehow track down whoever was behind such an elaborate catfish scheme. But over the following weeks, I received no updates about progress on the case. The police told me without more details on the actual identity theft victim, or an address linked to the account owner. It was nearly impossible to pursue. Meanwhile, paranoia crept up inside me about who Tyler really was and what their motives had been. Were they secretly some kind of predator, trying to get personal details about me for more sinister purposes? Or was it some kind of twisted game for their own amusement? Those smiling photos haunted me, as I realized they had allowed a complete stranger with unknown intentions into my life. I already slept, instead staying up late scouring the dark web for any clues about the fake account's origins. But no clear answers ever surfaced. Weeks turned into months, and I gradually felt the immediate terror around what had happened subside. But an unsettling feeling still lingered, knowing I would probably never find out the truth of who Tyler actually was or what dangers I may have narrowly avoided. My friends and family said I should view it as a bizarre, one-off incident and move on. But how could I really feel safe interacting with strangers online anymore if faces and identities could be faked so convincingly? Ever since my Tinder horror story, I approach meeting matches in real life much more cautiously. I never agree to meet someone unless we've had extensive conversations first, and I can verify at least some parts of their identity through mutual connections or social media. Any red flags or inconsistencies, and I won't pursue things further. This kind of deception really opened my eyes to how even a harmless-seeming match can mask chilling intentions. On apps and the internet, you truly never know who is lurking behind each smiling photo. I still remember the night this all started so vividly. It was a regular Wednesday evening, and I had just gotten home from work. I was sitting on my couch in sweats, mindlessly scrolling through Tinder to pass the time. After having no luck meeting anyone decent on the app recently, I was feeling pretty jaded about the whole online dating thing. But then I came across a profile for a guy named Matt that caught my eye. He looked to be around my age, had a friendly smile in his bio, said he enjoyed hiking and watching documentaries. Similar interests to me. On a whim, I decided to swipe right, and to my surprise, we matched immediately. Matt messaged me first with a cheerful, "Hey, how's your week going?" I appreciated him taking the initiative, and we began chatting about work and our shared love of the outdoors. The conversation flowed easily, and I found myself really enjoying messaging with Matt over the next few days. He came across as kind, smart, and authentic, a hard combo to find on dating apps. When he eventually asked if I wanted to grab dinner that weekend, I enthusiastically agreed. We picked a cozy Italian restaurant downtown to meet up. The morning of the date, I texted Matt to confirm we were still on for that evening. He responded right away saying he was looking forward to it. As I got ready, I felt an unusual sense of excitement about this first date. I couldn't remember the last time I had such an effortless connection with someone for a nap. There were no red flags or gut feelings that something might be off. Matt just seemed like a genuinely good guy. I arrived at the restaurant first and let Matt know I had grabbed a table. He texted back that he was running a few minutes late but would be there soon. 15 minutes passed and I still didn't see him come in. I was about to ask if everything was okay when a photo notification popped up on my phone. But it wasn't for Matt. It was a picture of me sitting alone at the restaurant table, clearly taken from outside the window without me noticing. I looked around in confusion, but no one was standing there with a phone pointed at me. Before I could even process what was happening, another photo came through. This time, it was the front exterior of my apartment building. I felt my stomach drop knowing this wasn't just a wrong number. Whoever was sending these had been watching me and knew exactly where I lived. The messages kept coming, each more chilling than the last. "You look beautiful tonight. Can't wait for our date tomorrow. I'll pick you up at 8. Wear something nice." I rushed out of the restaurant in shock, too scared to even look behind me. Once safely back in my apartment with the door locked, I broke down realizing a complete stranger had been stalking me without my knowledge. The police came to file a report, but told me there wasn't much they could do yet. I barely slept that night, jittery at every minor sound outside my window. I kept the lights off and stayed away from the windows, worried my stalker might be watching. The next evening, right at 8 p.m., there was a loud knock at my front door that made my heart stop. My phone lit up with a new message showing the outside of my door taken from the hall. "I'm here, let me in." I froze in terrified silence until the knocking stopped. My friends came over to stay with me for the night, but none of us got much rest. Over the next few weeks, the ominous messages continued sporadically. Always a photo of me going about my day with some eerie caption like, "See you soon, my love." No matter what measures I took to beef up security at my apartment, this person seemed to always know my exact location and routine. Reporting the number or blocking it did nothing when they clearly had been tracking me long before that first Tinder message. Going to the police barely helped either, since they had no leads on who was behind this intricate stalking. I grew paranoid about everyone in my life, wondering if I could identify who was doing this by process of elimination. But this person had virtually no online footprint that I could dig up. It was like they appeared out of thin air just to torment me. Late one night as I was getting ready for bed, I heard a branch snap right outside my bedroom window. My heart pounding, I shut off all the lights and dove under my covers in fear. Moments later, my phone lit up with a new photo message, a zoomed-in shot of me cowering in the dark taken through the window. "I'm so glad we matched on Tinder. Now I really feel like I know you," the caption read. A sickening realization washed over me that reporting this person to Tinder all those weeks ago clearly did nothing. Whoever they were had fixated on me long before we ever matched, and had been strategically planning this stalking for who knows how long. No app blocking or restraining order would stop them. Panic took over and I knew I had to leave town immediately. I withdrew all my savings, packed only the essentials, and moved across the country without telling a soul. I switched jobs, deleted all social media, and essentially went off the grid. That was 6 months ago, and I have yet to hear from my stalker again. But I still constantly check over my shoulder when I'm out, avoid posting any details online, and sleep with the lights on. That one seemingly harmless Tinder match morphed into a complex web of manipulation that will haunt me forever. My sense of safety and trust in others is forever damaged thanks to the sinister mind games of someone I never even met face to face. I swipe left on every dating profile now, too traumatized to take another chance. I still vividly remember the night I matched with Jake on Tinder, the night that ended up turning my world completely upside down. It started off normally enough. Jake's profile popped up, showing a guy with brown hair and a big friendly smile. His pictures showed him hiking, skiing, hanging out with friends, just normal stuff. His bio was witty, and he seemed sweet. When we matched, I was thrilled. We started messaging right away and really hit it off. The conversation flowed easily, and he made me laugh. After a few days, Jake finally asked me out for drinks that weekend. I quickly said yes and started eagerly counting down the days. I hadn't been on a proper date in months and was craving that excitement and butterflies you feel leading up to a first meetup. When Friday rolled around, I took extra time getting ready. I showered, shaved my legs, did my hair and makeup. The works. I decided to wear a new dress I had picked out just for this occasion. I finished off my look with strappy heels and my favorite perfume. As I checked myself out in the mirror, I felt confident and ready for a fun night out. Jake had chosen a trendy downtown bar that I had heard good things about, but hadn't actually been to yet. I drove over, found parking a few blocks away, and headed towards the entrance. My stomach was fluttering with anticipation. I walked inside and instantly felt the lively energy of the crowded bar hit me. I squeezed my way through groups of laughing young professionals to scan the room for Jake. That's when an icy feeling washed over me. Sitting alone at the far end of the bar was a man who looked exactly like Jake's pictures. I noticed resembled identical. Same eyes, same nose, same crooked smile. But it wasn't Jake. It was my friend Mark, who had mysteriously gone missing from our college town over 2 years ago. My breath caught in my throat as my mind tried to make sense of what I was seeing. Mark was here, seemingly totally fine, casually having a drink. But why was he using Jake's identity? Where on earth had he been for the past 2 years? And why hadn't he reached out to tell me, his closest friend, that he was okay? My heart pounded as I tried to decide what to do next. I was frozen in place, dozens of questions racing through my mind. I knew I had to talk to him and get some answers. Before I could overthink it, I started weaving my way through the crowds towards the bar, never taking my eyes off of Mark, or Jake, or whoever this person was. As I got closer, there was no longer any doubt in my mind. The birthmark on his neck, the scar above his eyebrow from a childhood accident. This was without question my friend Mark. I hesitated for a moment, then took the empty seat beside him at the bar. He turned to see who sat down, and I saw a flash of surprise, maybe even fear, shoot across his face when he recognized me. We sat there staring at each other, the noisy bar fading into the background. I was hit with a wave of emotion seeing my long-lost friend again after all this time. I had imagined this moment 1,000 times over the years, but now that it was here, I was at a total loss for words. Mark finally broke the tense silence. "Sarah, is that you?" Hearing his voice say my name instantly brought me back to all our memories from college. I tried to form a response, but could barely string a sentence together through my shock. He grabbed my hand firmly, with a sense of urgency, and led me away from the crowded bar towards a quiet booth in the back corner. Once we were seated across from each other in the dark booth, Mark launched into an explanation that left me reeling. He told me he had gotten caught up with dangerous people after college, criminal types that he owed money to. When he tried to cut ties with them, they threatened his life and his family's safety. So he staged his own disappearance to protect those he loved. Mark went on to describe the past 2 years moving from city to city, using fake names and odd jobs to keep a low profile. He never meant to worry me or his family, but contacting us would have put everyone at risk, he insisted. I sat in astonished silence, my head spinning as I tried to reconcile this insane story with the Mark I used to know. Could this really be possible? Had my friend really vanished into some criminal underworld? As bizarre as it sounded, Mark's eyes were pleading with me to believe him. Before I could even begin to process it all, Mark said he had to leave immediately before he was found. He promised to try to contact me when it was safe, then slipped away into the crowd as suddenly as he had reappeared in my life. I sat numbly in that bar for what felt like an eternity, trying to make sense of what had just happened. In the weeks that followed, I agonized over what to do. A part of me wanted to alert the authorities, but another part wondered if that would only make things worse. In the end, I stayed quiet, holding on to the fragile hope that Mark would reach out again someday. I never heard from him after that surreal night. Once in a while, I still scan crowds or check news sites, hoping for some update, but Mark remains a ghost in more ways than one. I'll never forget the night I went out expecting a simple first date, only to have it turn into a bizarre and haunting encounter with someone returned from the dead. The mystery still lingers in my mind years later, the unanswered questions, the things left unsaved between us. Wherever Mark is now, I hope he's safe. But I know I'll never stop searching for the truth of what really happened that night. If you enjoyed these stories, share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you had similar encounters, please share your experiences too. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe as it supports me a lot.